Hello, everyone. This is John Burness talking to you all again. I am just doing something rather recreational, something that I'm kind of just doing for the sake of doing, as even though I kind of discourage that in my own art and my own music. So in poetry, one of my heroes is Paul Valery, who is a French poet and philosopher who had very unusual breadth in his talent and his expertise. So he's become a hero of mine for that reason. And that was even more cemented, even more solidified when my favorite modern philosopher, Daniel Dennett, I think referenced him as his favorite poet. I remember trying to get Dennett to talk about as many of his favorite poets as he could, and I could never really get a straight answer out of him. And then finally, I heard him talk about Paul Valery, and I'm like, bingo. So, one thing I would really like to see put out there in the world before I'm gone is I want some available mass-produced, mass-translated copies done of his notebooks. Which, if you try to find them, they're not really called notebooks. They're called cahiers, which is just French for notebook. But because he's French, that's the name of his notebooks. So if you look up Paul Valery's cahiers, this is something I really want to see, and something I want to see other people see, something I want to see mass-produced at some point before I die. Because it's pretty vast. It spans 5 volumes, and each of them are online are between $80 to $140 for physical copies, and there's no ebook or online copies you can find anywhere, not on the archive, nothing. So the closest I'm going to get to this goal right now is to just play it very little by little, very incremental, and I'm going to read to you one chapter from his Cahiers series titled 3 Wakings. It is the only one I could find, and it's even more appropriate for me to do this personally because the number 3 has been very visible in my life for spiritual reasons. And there's been a lot of crazy cosmic coincidences and synchronicities around the number 3. So all this just made it feel very full circle and made this only the right thing for me to do than to just read out loud to the world a chapter in Paul Valery's Cahiers, or his notebooks, titled 3 Wakings. And I hope all of you enjoy. So 3 Wakings. Night in the barracks. 10 o'clock. In my loathing, I wander about the dark, stony courtyard. I consoled a little by the vast splendor of the night. A night like the somber velvet cushion on which a jeweler pours rivulets of diamonds. A cool, soothing calm, scarcely troubled by intruder lamps flickering beneath the archways, by the flash of a bayonet, the distant rumble of wheels, or the whistling of an invisible man. A trickle of water purls in the water trough. The far-off sound of carriages plunges me again into the anguish of my imprisonment amidst the stupidity, the brutality, and the square heads under the kepi. On the barracks, on a cot without sheets, between my overcoat and a blanket, voices in the background, whispering yawns, flickering of the single dim light hanging from the ceiling. Someone snuffs it out. Now it is only a blue dot in the darkness. It swings rhythmically. A pale light trembles in the narrow windows. Bodies turn over in the covers. Someone swears, now and then. A patch of light, crisscrossed by the black bars of the window grating, is projected onto the ceiling. And the whole image revolves across the room as the lantern outside passes by. I cannot sleep. Sonnets of Heredia, verses of Mallarme. Come back to me. I say them over to myself without savoring them, without enjoying them. Someone is snoring, one loudly, another softly. Both follow a mysterious rhythm. An oppressive odor bothers me. I cannot identify it because it envelops me, but I imagine it rotten. I go down to the courtyard. The cold is pleasant. Morning is coming. It is still dark. The sky is faintly dappled. Suddenly, a flicker of light toward the east, between two roofs. A cry of light, still dim and distant. As if in reply, the blare of a bugle tears the silence. The blare of a bugle tears the silence. A sharp, bizarre phrase rising out of 2 or 3 notes. Reveal. And arms stretch in the cots, while the breath of light comes into the dark room, pits the iron pitcher with white, lights up the metal of the guns. Uproar in the stairways. Water splashes in the water basins, and a wholesome morning wind bellies the new army overcoats appearing from all sides. Dated November 17th, 1889. In the morning. This is sort of a part 2. Sometimes I do not know whether I am more awake than asleep or more asleep than awake. There is a conflict at times between the one who thinks and the one who wishes not to think but to sleep, and that which is thought and which wants to develop, to see its future. Thus, there are 2 possible outcomes to this moment. Some mornings, today perhaps, when I wake and sit down with this notebook, I don't quite recognize myself. I see myself as more stern, more stony than I am by nature, and old. I see myself as an old man without pity for anything mental that tries to masquerade as total and insignificant. For, bear in mind, the mark of the real is absolute insignificance. I get up. I go to make my first ritual cup of coffee without knowing whether it acts as substance on my chemistry or a taste and stimulant through sensation, more than by molecular change in my composition, or a nervous effect of chronometric repetition. For it is possible to make these 3 hypotheses. Thus I move about, and on the one hand I feel ideas, very diverse, invading me, contesting life, etc., etc. But on the other hand, I am aware of myself moving about and acting out of total automatism and somnambulism. Never heard that word before. I am aware of my own phantom, my regular ghost. Everything I do has always been done. All my steps and gestures can do without me, as the imperceptible and essential acts of vegetable life can do without us. My lucidity illuminates for me my mechanical nature and the last straw. It belongs to that nature. I am given to discovery and the unexpected at that early hour. Dated January 1944. Part 3. Waking up. There is no phenomenon more exciting to me than waking. Nothing tends to give a more extraordinary idea of everything than this autogenesis, this beginning of what was, which also has its beginning, what is. And this is nothing but shock, stupor, contrast. Here, a state of equidifference takes place, as if there were a moment among the most unstable, during which no one is yet the person one is, and could become another. A different memory could develop, whence the fantastic, the external individual remaining, and the whole psyche substituted. Dated May 1944. So that is a brief excerpt, and it is the most extensive excerpt I can find of Paul Valery's cahiers, or his notebooks. And I really want to see this done, and I want to see his notebook series produced for the world to see. I want to see them myself, because even I can't access them right now. And this is sort of my gift to everyone who is like-minded who also wants to see that done. So I thoroughly hope you enjoyed this reading, and I hope you are having a wonderful day, or night, or evening actually, wherever any of you are. And stay surreal and stay poetic, and out.